Hey folks, it's KJ Bell. Welcome to an episode of Another Way on YouTube. We're doing it different today. We're doing it al fresco. We're doing it outside. We're doing it on a rooftop. We're doing it on my phone. It's an al fresco vlog episode. Well, it's not really a vlog, but it's kind of a vlog. So today, we're talking about truth. We're talking about truth and being truthful and how to tell the difference between different kinds of truth. There are two different kinds of truth that I'm going to talk about right now. There's the objective truth, which is the closest to reality. It's like fact and actuality and blah, blah, blah. It's the adult, kind of reasoned, kind of logicked out sort of truth that you may not like, but you kind of have to accept. That sort of thing. Then there's the subjective truth, and that kind is much more prevalent and usually where we run into problems, because the subjective truth is more of an accepted personal emotional truth. It's the inner child who doesn't want it to be that way. It's that sort of a truth. And the problem with that is that everybody can have a different subjective truth about the same situation. And I talk about this a lot, how something that you might remember as a very traumatic comment from a parent or a teacher or another or a friend or, insert situation here, the person that caused you the pain has a completely different perspective on that and probably didn't even mean it the way that you took it necessarily. And so those are two conflicting subjective truths, and we often have to kind of dig our way through our own subjective truths to get our way to the objective truth. And that's a very difficult thing to do. The other problem there is that when we have that sort of pain, sometimes getting to that objective truth isn't enough to sort of heal it. And I'm not saying that subjective truths are a bad thing. They're not, because art is subjective, and without subjective truths and different views, we wouldn't have art. So subjective truth is a good thing. We don't want to always be logical and reasoned, but we want a balance here. There's an Eckhart Tolle quote that I adore that is, primary reality is within, secondary reality is without. So that primary reality is a subjective truth that you have to acknowledge within yourself. You can't just dismiss them. But you have to, if you're going to be well-rounded and try to get to the truth of things, you have to try and get to that objective truth. And that's that secondary reality. You have to deal inward before you can deal outward. It's very much like the airplane thing where you have to fix your own oxygen mask before helping other people. To deal with this before you can really deal with that. If that makes any sense. This is also the reason that it's often hard to get past your subjective truths. This is where politics happens. And this is both sides of politics, all sides of politics. We get into this idea that our way is the right idea and that facts don't often matter in situations like that. Objective truth has no place in that because we are so stuck in our subjective truth because we can't move beyond it. One of the things about the fix your own mask before helping others thing is that you often have to try to place yourself in somebody else's subjective truth. That's all about getting a different perspective and getting empathy. You may not have to agree with the subjective truth, but you have to be able to see it. And that, somewhere between your subjective truth and that other person's, that's where the objective truth is. We shouldn't dismiss all of our subjective truths, but we definitely have to weigh them against everything else. I can accept something even though I don't like it. I can accept that thing that my third grade teacher said to me that hurt me maybe not have been meant the way that I took it, but I can still acknowledge that hurt me. You can balance those things out. It's balancing the adult reason side and that child side. So two kind of truths, subjective, objective. That's what we're dealing with constantly. And knowing yourself and your own truths helps you to break down other people's and get into find more objectivity. That's the thing that helps with. So that's it for this alfresco scene for today, I think. So likey and subscribey and Instagrammy and Twittery tweety things at that KJ Bell, all that good stuff. See you next week. And that thing about affixing your own mask, that often means there's a motorcycle. That's one of the problems with doing this alfresco.